have found the Genesis frequency. This is Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna welcoming you in to another episode of a show that focuses on your whole life prosperity and success. Whole life prosperity and success by cooperating with the universal laws that are available to each and every one of us. This is Quantum Leap Goal Achievement, radical personal transformation, whole life prosperity and success. Now, stay tuned for another exciting episode that'll move the needle in your life from where you are now to where you want to be. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be, wherever you are in the world, when you hit that play button. So glad you did. Welcome into another episode of the Genesis Frequency Podcast with yours truly, Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna coming at you, continuing our journey together, providing you with value that you can apply to your life as I have applied to my own. This is the work I do. This is the work I have been doing for years and years and years. I encourage you to reach out to me for a conversation to how you can deepen into all the principles that I talk about, all the programs I share and that I facilitate in my line of work and with our company, Success Ocean International, along with Leadership Management International. All that stuff. Reach out. Successappointment.com is my calendar. It opens up in your time zone, and we just have a conversation where you are, where you want to go, where you often get stuck, and what we can do to move you and your company from where you are now to where you want to be. So we completed a series last week, and we're going to just talk about something new and exciting coming on the horizon. And this is really what I'm going to call, because everything we do is really about goal achievement, right? And quantum leap goal achievement. What I want to title this episode as is the missing link in goal achievement: energy, discipline, and the body. Some things that I go into energy a lot, but we don't talk too much about discipline and our physical body. So I, I want to talk about this because this shows up far more often than people expect when we begin working with them, working with individuals and organizations. Yes, on leadership and goal achievement. It's not always strategy. It's not always skill. It's not always opportunity. Very often it's energy. It's discipline. And it's the relationship we have with our own body. And I'm talking about conversations that keep coming up because when we work with individuals, we always work on a personal goal and a professional goal within any of our programs. Within any of our programs, we start with a goals workshop. Remember, I invited you to reach out if you wanted to get in on a free goals workshop. But we always encourage individuals, and really they must have a personal goal and a professional goal that they're working on during the time that we're working with each other. And through our work in this area, through our work in leadership development, personal productivity, and goal achievement, there is one area, I'm telling you, that comes up again and again and again with probably more than 90% of individuals, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, sometimes quietly, sometimes in a sidebar conversation, and that is this: people want to feel better in their bodies. And maybe you resonate with that. People want to feel better in their bodies. They want more energy. They want more confidence. They want more control. They want to, quote unquote, lighten up. Get it? They want to lighten up physically, mentally, and emotionally. Lighten up. And what's interesting is this is not separate from goal achievement. It's deeply connected to it. So let's talk about a little bit why this matters for leadership and performance. Because how you feel physically affects how you show up mentally. And how you show up mentally affects how you perform. Remember, I'm all about performance and productivity and priority management and how you feel energetically. Think about this. If someone is constantly fatigued, if their energy is low, if their confidence is affected by how they feel in their body, it becomes more difficult, much more difficult to focus, to make decisions, to stay disciplined, to follow through, to lead effectively. So this isn't just about physical change. It's about functional performance. It's about capacity. It's about showing up at your highest level. And, there is a hidden cost of low energy. And most people underestimate the cost of low energy. They think it's just about feeling tired, right? But it shows up in subtle ways in procrastination, lack of clarity, emotional reactivity. No, boy, does it. Inconsistent habits, reduced confidence, lower standards. And over time, that begins to affect results because energy is the fuel behind execution. You got that? That bears repeating because energy is the fuel behind execution. So let's look at this. Let's tie this in with goal achievement because goal achievement requires more than intention. In our work with Leadership Management International and the Proctor Gallagher Institute and all the work we do with corporate training and individual development and all the personal development do, we talk a lot about goals. Every program, as I alluded to earlier, is about goals and goal achievement. Clear goals, crystal clear goals, crystallizing those goals, writing them down, written goals, emotionally connected goals. What is your why? Right? Getting involved with it emotionally because we have to work at the level of changing habit. We have to have that emotional connection. But there's something important to understand. You don't achieve goals with intention alone. We can have the greatest intentions, right? You achieve goals with aligned behavior over time. Got that? We achieve goals with aligned behavior over time. And so we have to look at habitual behavior and we have to instigate change at the level of habitual behavior, identifying what that habitual behavior is and replacing it with aligned behavior over time through time-spaced repetition and a number of other ways that we use. But we have to recognize that behavior itself is influenced by energy and discipline and your internal state. So let's talk a little bit about, have a conversation about discipline here. Because discipline is often misunderstood. People think discipline is harsh, restrictive. I know I used to. I mean, I remember growing up young. I heard the word discipline. I went and hid because if discipline was coming, it was usually going to be directed at me. We grow up and maybe you're the same way. People think discipline is hard. They think it's restrictive, uncomfortable. But in a productive way, in an improvement, self-improvement type of way, true discipline is really alignment. True discipline is alignment. It's the ability to do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. And through my, well, probably last 6 months, although it's been ongoing for years, but through my last 6 months of really focused weight release, I had to have that discipline when I didn't feel like it, when it was time for me to go and get to the gym and work out and all that stuff. And so here we are at one of the greatest areas where discipline is either developed or neglected, and it's in how we take care of ourselves. Okay, let's just set everything aside for a moment. The greatest areas where discipline is either developed or neglected is how we take care of ourselves. So you hear me, and I probably don't talk enough about self-care, but that's so important because, it comes down to putting your own oxygen mask on first, taking care of you, raising the energy levels, and everything that is affecting you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And this is where I want to gently shift the conversation because many people treat physical well-being as separate from their goal. They'll say, I'll focus on that later. Or, yeah, once things calm down around here. Or, now when I have more time. But what if it's not separate? What if it's not? What if your physical state is actually supporting or limiting your goals? What if improving your energy, your health, your vitality actually accelerates everything else? Because you know what? There's a pattern we've seen repeatedly in our programs. In every single one of our programs, we've seen this pattern. When someone begins to take control of one area of their life, it begins to influence other areas. When they improve their thinking, their decisions improve. When their decisions improve, their actions improve. When they begin to feel better physically, everything begins to elevate. Confidence rises, clarity increases, consistency improves. And I know this for a fact to be true. There was a long period at the time when I was probably at my heaviest. I didn't want to get on stage and speak. I just didn't want to do it. I turned down speaking engagements. But I'm going to share something with you because a new direction is really emerging in this space. So I want to share this with you. We are beginning to explore, we as a company, we are beginning to explore and develop something new in our work, something that complements everything we already do in leadership and goal achievement. We're working on an initiative of what we are calling, you ready for this? Waistline management. Waistline management. Now, let me be clear. This is not about trends. It's not about quick fixes. It's not about surface level change. It's about helping people create real, sustainable results in an area that impacts their daily life. And there's a different approach here that we're going to share and that I'm going to share with you because the traditional approaches have left many people frustrated. They've tried different things. Some have tried medications. Some have tried programs. Some have tried willpower alone. Many times the results are inconsistent or come with, oh my God, the unwanted side effects. So we're working towards something different, something more aligned, something more effective, something that integrates mindset, discipline, goal achievement, and physical transformation. And you know what? Beauty about this is not just for individuals. We're moving this into the corporate space, into the corporate wellness space as well. There's something we see as highly relevant in the corporate space because organizations are what? They're made up of people. And when people feel better, they perform better. They engage more. They lead more effectively. They communicate more clearly. So this becomes part of a larger conversation around corporate wellness, leadership performance, and sustainable productivity. But here's the key. This is not just about weight. It's about self-governance. It's about alignment. We've been talking a lot about alignment in the last few episodes, so we're continuing. This is about alignment. It's about the ability to set a goal and bring yourself into harmony with it. Because the same principles that apply to business goals, professional goals, apply to personal goals. Clarity, decision, commitment, intention, consistency, discipline, and identity. So let's touch on that for a moment. Something important, really important here. Real change happens when identity shifts, when self-image shifts, when someone no longer says, I'm trying to, instead says, this is who I am becoming, or better yet, this is who I am now. That applies to leadership. That applies to finances. That applies to health. That applies to every area of life. So, over the coming weeks, here's where this is all going. Over the coming weeks and months, you're going to hear more from us in this area. We're still developing it, still refining it, still aligning all the pieces. But I wanted to introduce the idea here in this podcast today because it's something that continues to come up in our work and has come up in my personal life. And it's something we believe can make a meaningful difference in the lives of so many individuals and in so many organizations. So, your reflection for this week. Here's what I want to leave you with today. It's still, no matter what I'm talking about, there's application and action involved. Here's what I want to leave you with today. Just a simple reflection. Ask yourself, how is my physical state affecting my performance? And I want you to ask this, how my physical state is affecting my performance, not from judgment, not from pressure, but from awareness. And then ask, what is one small step I can take to improve my energy, my discipline, and my consistency? Because small, consistent changes lead to powerful results. All right, so that's your assignment for this week, should you choose to accept it. All right, you're just doing some reflection work. There's no heavy lifting here yet, right? How is my physical state affecting my performance? And what one small step can I take to improve my energy, my discipline, or my consistency? So, my friends, you don't have to change everything overnight. We're going to go down this road. We're going to do it together. But you know what? You can begin. And when you begin, momentum builds, clarity increases, confidence grows. And you know what? Life, the world around you, the world outside of you begins to respond. And this is all part of the same journey, part of everything I've been talking about with you for years on this podcast and for years and years and years in my work and my speaking and my training and developing and in my ministry. It's all part of the same journey, power within, expressed in every area of your life. So don't forget, reach out to me. You want to have a deeper conversation around all of this? We can get started now talking about it, getting you started. Always helps to have someone that can see those blind spots for you. Let's connect. Successappointment.com. Let's get you started on a program that'll make a difference in your life, in your world, whatever you're working on. Even if we're working on waistline management, reach out to me. Let's talk. I'll share more about my journey in this area and the success I've experienced. You can too. This is Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna. You've been listening to the Genesis Frequency Podcast. I invite you to share this with others. Send it along. There's tremendous value here. Don't make the mistake of judging this as something that you get for free, so there's little or no value here. There's tremendous value here each and every week because I pour my heart into it and I pour out principles, applications, action steps you can take that have made a difference in my life. I'll see you next week. I wish for you an infinitely spectacular day. God bless you.